Well, UDM MP Nqabayomzi Kwankwa recently went through the same ordeal after being attacked on his way to the Cape Town International Airport. He joins me now live to discuss this worrying trend. Very good afternoon to you, Mr. Kwankwa. Thank you very much for agreeing to come on this afternoon. I mean, I was robbed once, but fortunately for me, I was never abducted. I cannot even begin to imagine how it must have been.
Well, it's a traumatic experience. You don't wish it even on your worst enemy, because it happens when you least expect it. There's nothing that can really prepare you for it. Because I was on my way, in fact, the party actually, I was scheduled to travel to Joburg the following day for the swearing-in ceremony of the president, or the inauguration as we call it. But then there was need for me to prepare for GNU discussions which might have taken place a day before. I'm not sure if they did take place, but the president was anticipating in the party that I would need then to travel to Pretoria a day earlier, and which is what happened. So I decided, as I have always done in the past, to go to my barber who resides in Driftsands, which is opposite Site C, and that's not too far away from Cape Town International Airport. So it was like going to be 30 minutes in and out, and then I'd go to the airport, catch my flight, and then go to the inauguration. But it was not to be on that particular day.
As you say, I mean, they come when you least expect it. I remember in our case, we try to be as far away from the road as possible, so that, you know, people don't access us easily. And it happened with such incredible speed that by the time we're opening your eyes, it had already happened. Can you remember how many they were? And
in my case, there were 4. 2 of them were armed. But when they walked into the barber shop, the barber, because I was there to cut my hair, was busy cutting my hair, and there was another gentleman who was working there. I don't know what he was doing in his house, but he was working. So 4 of them walked into the barber shop. 2 of them had firearms. The first thing they did, they came straight to me. They didn't talk to anyone else. They came straight to me, started searching me for firearms. And then when they noticed that I wasn't armed, then they checked whether I had security with me at the time. So they went around the house. When they realized that I was alone, that's when they took my cell phone at gunpoint. They then took my bank cards and so on. Took everything that was on me, my gadgets, all of them. And then later on, it seems like they realized that I had my car parked outside. So they came back to take my car keys. So I thought the experience was over. The whole thing was over when they took my car keys. But what then happened is that after searching my car for like 10, 15 minutes, taking everything that they could take, they even took my parliamentary, the accreditation. No, the accreditation I was going to use for the inauguration for some inexplicable reason. They then came back because 2 of them were watching the door. They came back to fetch me, first put me in the back seat, forced me to look down, drove around with me in Cape Town while they were busy withdrawing money from my accounts, right? Sending themselves cash send, making withdrawals and all sorts of. And then I thought they were done with me. Little did I know that they were going to stop in the middle of the road, in a busy street, get me to kneel behind my vehicle at gunpoint, tie my hands up behind my back, and then I was bundled into the boot. So this thing happened for like, I was in the boot for 30 minutes, as I recall. It was about 30 plus minutes, where your hands are tied behind your back. You are trying to free them, because even how they put you, when they put me face down, meaning breathing was a problem. So I was suffocating in the boot. It was at that moment when I thought, hey, this was my last day. And then after driving around, because they were driving around, using my cards to purchase different items, but mainly alcohol, and sending themselves cash sends and cash backs, whatever you call them. Then later on, they decided that they had to actually destroy the evidence. I became evidence. That's how they put it, that they were going to destroy the evidence, because I would be able to identify them at the police station in the event that they were caught, because one or 2 of them had balaclavas on. So they took off the balaclavas as they were putting me in the boot. So this went on for a while, and then they took me out where they were going to shoot me, right, to kill me. Took me out of the boat 30 minutes later in this place which was abandoned. It seemed like people in that area were performing their ablutions in public, primarily because maybe they didn't have mobile toilets or whatever, I don't know. So I was made to kneel there with my hands tied now in front because I was able to free up my hands in the boat because that's the only way I was able to breathe. But I couldn't tie my hands again in the back. I had to tie them up in front. They didn't even notice that. So as they were going on, then that's when I started negotiating because they were complaining that they didn't expect a public figure to have 10,000. Right, in his account, the money was insufficient, it was an insult, they needed more money. I said, okay, find how much more. That's how then the 10,000 rands came about. It's them who said, give us 10,000 rands more, we'll let you go. But even after I called the general, because I couldn't call private individuals, you would say, I need 10,000 transferred urgently, and people would say, I'm broke, I don't have money. So the party then became the automatic choice for me. And that's when I spoke to the general. They even spoke to him, in fact, and made threats to him on the phone. So then the 10,000 was then transferred immediately as an immediate payment, right? After back, forth, and negotiating and so on. But even after the 10,000 had reflected on my phone, because they had taken my phone and they wanted it to be paid into my account, they still didn't release me. They started arguing about whether to shoot me in the head or shoot me on the chest or shoot me in the leg. And there was this one chap who did not want me to be shot in the head or on the chest, because he said, if you shoot him in the face or chest, you might kill him. And if you kill him, the cocks are going to run after us because he's well known and whatever nonsense he was saying. But he's actually the one who, when this chap wanted to shoot me because his gun was pointed on my head, he actually wrestled the gun out of the other guy's hand and put it in his pocket, right? And then there was a scuffle because the other one wanted to shoot, and the other one said, shoot the leg. And the other one didn't want to shoot the leg. And that happened for like a minute. I thought they were acting. I thought it was some rehearsed role-playing type of thing. Until the other one, who wrestled the gun out of the one who wanted to shoot me, said, he's going to kill you, run. So they were wrestling, trying to do this thing. That's when I ran away. But that was a couple of minutes after the 10,000 was paid into the account. That's when they actually left with my car. I went to the nearest taxi that I saw on the side of the road. I was not even invited in. I invited myself in with my hands still tied in front. And that's when I was then taken to the police station. But fortunately, even though they spent my money, I got to the police station soon enough and were able to make sure that my accounts were blocked. They were not able to access that 10,000. It was that 10,000 where I gave an instruction to Capitec to say it must be paid back to, the party in order to make sure that the whole thing is settled. But the whole matter is still under investigation. Obviously, the police would actually look at various options and scenarios. That's how investigations pan out. I don't want to speculate about what might have happened or what might have caused that, but I would say it was the most traumatic experience ever.
So the police haven't, when last did they speak to you about just how far the investigation and whether they have any leads?
Because on the day of the kidnapping incident, I I think we left the police station after 11 or close to 12 midnight, looking at various scenarios and options. And since then, we've been chatting informally, but as you understand, the police will tell you that the investigation is at a sensitive stage. We can't talk to you about the progress we've made so far, but there are certain leads that they are following. The advantage, to some extent, is that the barber, as well as the other gentleman who was in the barber shop at the time, appeared as if they knew these guys where they were from, which I think then it would make it easy for the police to crack the case. That is, if they are still in the Western Cape. But also remember, you can't keep probing too much because you don't want to come across as if you want preferential treatment as a public representative, or that you come across as if you're trying to interfere in the investigation itself. I can't even ask. One of the things I wanted to ask was whether the barber actually did call the police after I was kidnapped. I don't know. I can't have that conversation, unfortunately, with him until I'm allowed to do so.
Of course, I mean, as the police were telling us, we're telling Veronica Makhwadi, this thing is on the rise. I mean, I was in Nqabayomzi only a couple of days ago. A doctor had been abducted, and they were asking for 500,000 rands in ransom. Terribly sorry about what happened to you.
Well, thank you
so much
for
agreeing to share your story with us. Nqabayomzi Kwankwa, a UDM MP, but also the party's deputy president, on the back, of course, of these reports or confirmation by the police that these kidnappings are on the rise.